Welcome everyone to this week's Fish Friday. Today we are on Fish Friday number 22 and we have a good one. I have personally caught this fish multiple times. It is a seahorse. It's not quite a seahorse. Today we are talking about the Gulf pipefish. Gulf pipefish, or Signathus scoveli, is part of the family Signathidae, which is the family of some seahorses and pipefish. It's actually a very common fish. A lot of people, especially people away from the coast, don't really know it. I believe they stick to mainly the more tropical region. I don't want to say tropical, but your more temperate environments. I don't think they get much into the Arctic circles. But as you can tell, they are an elongated tube. Essentially, they're kind of a seahorse that just stretched itself straight. That's the best way you can kind of describe these things. Is it's a seahorse but straight. They do have body rings like a seahorse. Now I couldn't actually find a pipefish skeleton, so I'm going to just use a seahorse skeleton as an example. You can see that the skeleton has rings in there. It's not really your normal bone structure. It's got these body rings, and that's what provides it the support. And the pipefish have about the same, they have the same sort of body rings. As you can see, they are brown or kind of green with silvery or white vertical bars along the side. They have a relatively short snout as far as pipefish go. And just like on this skeleton that you can see here, especially when you hold them in your hand, the body and the tail segments are actually separate. You can really feel it when you have these in your hand. Here's a good close-up of the snout, and if you ever get interested in drawings of fish, there is a man out there, Tomerlai. He draws these by hand with colored pencils. As you can see, he's gorgeous. He has a ton of works out there. Incredible artist. And you can just see the attention to detail here. As you can tell in this picture, the caudal fin is present and rounded. Now these get to a max of 18 centimeters long. That's max, but usually, and I mean 98% of the time, you're gonna find these at less than 10 centimeters long. Now I went ahead and just kept with 8 centimeters because even us Americans know a centimeter, I would hope. A ruler, a foot, is 32.5 centimeters. Gosh, I hope I'm right on that conversion. If I'm not, please forgive me. So half a foot is your max, and a third of a foot is what you'd usually get it at. Now, just like seahorses, the males do have a brood pouch. And we'll get a little bit more into that just in a little bit. These are an estuarian species. I think that's estuarian is how you say that. Meaning that they're sticking along the shorelines, especially highly vegetated shorelines. Now that doesn't mean that these won't go upriver. These have been found very far upriver, and even in some freshwater reservoirs, they're very tolerant of salinity, your salt content in the water. 30.48, close enough. So they can be found kind of anywhere, but predominantly you're going to find these more right along shorelines in heavy vegetation. And the reason you find it in heavy vegetation is because of our next topic, what they feed on. They feed during the day, and they're going to feed on your very small crustaceans, copepods, amphipods, isopods, those really small, almost microscopic, well, not really microscopic, but those really, really tiny bugs and crustaceans that are just very difficult to see. And just like seahorses, they have a pivot feeding method, which is really interesting and something that I was not aware of. So what'll happen is a seahorse or a pipefish will go this. So have your insect is swimming here, and the pipefish is swimming towards it with its head down. It just gets closer and closer, and then when it gets close, it quickly pivots its snout up while basically sucking in water. So you can think of, we were discussing a bass quite a long time ago, how it gulps, how it opens its mouth real quick, and that causes a rush of water in. That pivot, along with their basically their buccal cavity engaging, sucks in that little insect, and it happens in less than a millisecond. I want to say it was actually 1 millisecond. Incredible timing on it. Now, one of the reasons it has to do this instead of doing that is these things are rigid. They're very tough. They do not have much room to like breathe in and out on their body because of those skeletal rings like this. You can imagine that they don't have a lot of movement in their jaws. Basically none. So that's why it has to go with that pivot feeding method. And there's a ton of information out there. These are quick maturing species, very short-lived. Most of the evidence seems to point that they live maybe a year, possibly up to 3. But I imagine if you found a 3-year-old, or if you had a 3-year-old, that would be like the super duper grandpa one, kind of like the Betty White of these things, just kind of refusing to die. Most of the time, I think most of the evidence seems to point they don't live longer than a year, maybe a year and a half. Now, these do reproduce throughout the year, and the reproduction is kind of the most interesting thing about these. They actually have a mating ritual called Lebensspiel, and I probably said that very wrong. It is a German word, but I tried to say it with a semi-German way, and I probably butchered it, and I apologize. Lebensspiel stands for love play. That's actually what the word means. And what they'll do is the male and the female will orient nose up, tail down, obviously, and they will bob at the surface of the water, and then they'll intertwine their bodies. And then the female will deposit her eggs in the male pouch. And then the male will go down to the bottom and rub his pouch along the bottom, at the bottom of the river, of the ocean, or whatever. And they think that rubbing the pouch kind of forces those eggs to go towards the back of the pouch. And in the pouch, the eggs are actually bathed in a liquid made from the male's blood to keep them oxygenated and things like that. After they Lebensspiel. Okay. Well, close enough then. Now, these actually can have eggs from multiple females. In fact, it's very common. And the eggs, when they fully mature, they're a little bit oval, but they're actually bright orange. If you remember, we were talking about the leafy sea dragon quite a long time ago, and those had those bright pink eggs. These are actually orange eggs. So, reproduction is definitely one of the most interesting things about the pipefish, along with the fact that it is essentially a seahorse that just goes straight. They're not incredibly strong swimmers, but they're strong enough. They do a lot of swimming. But thank you guys so much for stopping in. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves. Listen, guys, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do, I would really appreciate it. Please give me some things that you would like to see me do. I would be very happy to do with anything. Don't forget to check out our Fish Friday and our special animal segment. Pretty soon, and next Monday, in fact, we will be doing both the Herp Monday and a special animal on the same day. But thank you guys so much again. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones,